Thank you to AILA for the invitation to be here today with all of you. Let me just start right at the beginning. Welcome to San Diego. Thrilled to have you all here, even the Zonies. This is the time of year we get the folks from Arizona, and we love having them here. I understand that you started last night. You're here till about Saturday. You should stay through Sunday. It's totally fine. There's a holiday tomorrow. Just tack that on to Monday and just keep it going. This is where I let you know that San Diego's tourist tax is lower than most other big cities in California. So we are a bargain, and you should just stay here and spend. I just love having folks in town. Now, I say that to a lot of groups that I get to welcome to San Diego, which is about daily, but I will tell you it is personally meaningful to this group, as Ben was sort of alluding to a moment ago. And also, a round of applause for Ben. We love when San Diegans go on to big and great things and then can come back here again. Ben, we're thrilled to have you back in San Diego. Right at the start, I want to say, I get some attention for what I do, but we have incredible San Diegans that are working very hard in this space. And I want to start with the city of San Diego. This is official. This is something we do. We acknowledge a Woman of the Year, and this year's Woman of the Year is Maria Chavez, and I believe Maria may be in the audience. She's a local immigration attorney. She is the legal director for PANA, which is the Partnership for Advancement of New Americans. She's incredible. That's how much we are concerned about this issue, is that we take this annual award and give it to an immigration lawyer, really representative of this profession and all that you're doing all across this country. So to Maria, thank you for her leadership. And I also, give it up for Maria, absolutely. She's remarkable. Another remarkable San Diegan, and it's funny, he stands out in any audience, even one this large, is my friend Sean Van Diver with Afghan EVAC. Absolutely. Through Battle Buddies, which is an effort that began right here in San Diego, veterans are standing alongside our Afghan allies as they navigate the legal process. I think it's a really powerful example of service, of partnership, of San Diego's leadership in making a difference all across this country, not just for veterans, which we care deeply about as a military community, but as immigrants, which I would say as the largest border city in the United States, we also care deeply about that. So, Sean, thank you for your leadership and all of what you do with Afghan EVAC. So Ben got to it a little bit already. You are looking at San Diego's very first Native American, Filipino, Puerto Rican, Dutch mayor. We're a beautiful country, right? I was 23andMe before it was popular. Here's the thing. For all of you that are wondering, how the heck does that happen? The answer is very simple. The Navy. All four of my grandparents came to this great city, and then they saw, wow, this is beautiful. Why would I leave? And it's great, and I'm grateful that they did choose to stay here. This is a city that is a proud city of immigrants, and the strength, the safety, and the success of our community depends on an unwavering commitment to protect the rights, the dignity, and well-being of all residents, and I underline all to be very clear that we include our residents regardless of their immigration status. Now, I've already shared with you why this issue is personal to me. My grandparents came from all around the world. My grandmother, Margarita, and if she were alive today, I miss her very much, but if she were alive today, surely would be afraid about what it is to be a Latina in Trump's America. I think often about my grandfather, who immigrated here from the Philippines. His name was, we got some Filipinos in the house? Okay, all right, yes. It's where I get my good looks. That's what I've always had to say. But not a singing ability, which is off stereotype. But anyway, my grandfather Louis came to the United States, and I will tell you that in my life, I have never saw my grandfather in anything other than a three-piece suit, to include when he would mow the lawn of his home in Claremont. Now, I had that same reaction as a kid. Like, Grandpa's kind of weird. But as I got older, I understood that as a man of color who came to this city in the in the 1940s, and then whose livelihood after leaving the military was to be a door-to-door salesman, whether or not someone opened that door to him was whether or not he could feed his family and put a roof over he and his wife's heads. Here's the thing. In San Diego in the 1940s, for a man of color who was an immigrant, the way that he tried to convey that he was someone that was worthy of respect, that he was worthy of equality under the law, was to wear a suit to try and convey that he deserved that. And he didn't always get it. He had to pay more than anyone else on his block for the home that he purchased because he chose to live in a community that wasn't historically for people of color. He and his wife, my grandmother, because they were of different races, had to travel out of state in order to get married. The list goes on and on. He wore that suit till the last day I ever saw him because he was so hardened and scarred by the discrimination that he experienced. And I recognize that that is not a story of 3 generations ago in this city. I know that there are people in my town today that live that same experience. And it's what shapes my view on how I see the world and how I lead this great city. And I believe that every elected official brings their own personal experiences to public service. And I think that my story reminds me that too many people have faced barriers simply because of who they are, or what they look like, or where they came from. And that's one of the reasons why this convening, this organization, and the work that we're doing at City Hall today around immigration matters so deeply to me. As I've already said, our city's strength, our economy, our culture, everything has been shaped by generations of people who came here seeking a better opportunity and a better future for themselves. I mean, consider it, this DNA of this city. We are on the U.S.-Mexican border. We're on the Pacific Rim. We are the largest concentration of military assets. We are a massive tourism town. We are fundamentally about people coming here from all around the world to make this city a better place. We choose to be a welcoming community, and we choose to judge people by their contributions, not their differences. That we work together to build stronger communities and create more opportunities for everyone. And I believe everything I just said with all of my heart. But I understand that right now in this great city of ours, too many immigrant families are living with fear and with uncertainty. And this is because of the incredible federal immigration enforcement that we are seeing that is disrupting the daily lives of San Diego families. And I don't have to tell you, this is families in every corner of this country, in big cities, small towns, inland, coastal, doesn't matter. We're seeing this everywhere as this disruption to families that deter residents from accessing the public spaces that they enjoy, the services that they pay taxes to help support, the heightened tension and the anxiety that I hear from teachers and principals in our local schools, our businesses, our parks, our neighborhoods. Everywhere that people tend to want to go are impacted by this fear that we're seeing. And again, I know that I'm telling people who know this intimately, but I think all of us have to keep continuing to reinforce this particular point, especially after I think some front-facing alterations to the way this enforcement is happening, and allowing some to think that this has stopped when we all know that this is still continuing. Now, I say this as the mayor of a great city that knows that cities cannot lawfully interfere with or stop these federal operations. You all know this better than me, you're attorneys. But the city has to stay fully committed to abiding by and upholding state laws like Senate Bill 54 here in California that ensures that all residents know their rights under that and other laws, and that our city employees and the vendors who choose to do business with the city do the same. About a year ago, I signed an executive order that reaffirms the City of San Diego's commitment and alignment with Senate Bill 54. We strengthened our local policies around immigration, expanded our multilingual resources for our community members, and prioritized and making clear that we prioritize the public safety of all of our residents in solidarity with our immigrant communities. Now, I have made a career out of presenting a lot of public proclamations. Generally, they're joyful things about a retirement or a birthday or something like that. I've learned that you never read all the whereases. That's a surefire way to lose an election. But I want to tell you about a couple of the key provisions of this executive order, this proclamation, that the City of San Diego's police department does not and will not engage in immigration enforcement, that our city employees have received enhanced training to ensure that our services are accessible to all and that they are prepared to protect the rights of all. That we expand access to multilingual Know Your Rights resources at local libraries, at community and rec centers, and that our business improvement districts and our economic development staff, when they go out to talk to small business owners about improvement loans and best practices, that we're now inserting Know Your Rights cards and information and offering them the opportunity so they too can protect their employees. We're increasing our coordination with trusted organizations like PANA, like IRC and others to make sure that we can provide immediate assistance and legal resources when we have San Diegans in need. And we're proactively making sure that that communication is going out aggressively in all of our neighborhoods. In fact, I've done some of the door-to-door with our businesses in different parts of San Diego. And this is where if I want to take just a moment of personal pride to point out that people in my job get to say all the pretty words, right? But there are really, really smart people behind us that do that work. And the woman who has been leading our city's effort is already doing her job right here in the center row. Lucero Maganda, who is here, who is our leader on immigration issues at the city. She's absolutely phenomenal. I love her to death. Our city is a safer place for immigrants because of her. And I just want to take this moment to acknowledge her efforts and ask none of you to steal her back to your own cities, because we need her here in San Diego. So as we continue to work with the trusted partners that I mentioned, our communities, our local businesses, to improve that communication and preparedness in the event of a federal action that disrupts our neighborhoods, like the one you may have saw in May last year, where an Italian restaurant on a Friday dinner service was interrupted in search of one or two immigrants, and they showed up with dozens of immigration officers, absolutely scared the daylights of everyone involved, stood in the restaurant for over an hour. But I want to tell you a little something about my city. My residents in that neighborhood, and by the way, this is very proudful because this is my old city council district. This is where I got my start in politics. Well, while they were in the restaurant for an hour, that neighborhood is networked. They know each other. We have everyone's numbers, and they started calling. They started texting. And that hour that the agents were inside that restaurant and ultimately took away 4 people who were their dishwashers and table servers, 200 San Diegans showed up outside of that restaurant to make it extremely clear that this city does not support that kind of enforcement action, that aggressive, militaristic, violent approach that was taken that day is not allowed here. And while we continue to have immigration enforcement, clearly, that kind of behavior has not happened again in our city. And I give a lot of credit to the San Diegans who were strong enough, brave enough to say, not our neighbors, not our neighborhood small businesses. I'm truly proud in that of our city in that moment. I want every resident to know, and there's obviously many San Diegans who are here. In fact, where are the San Diegans at? With a show of hands, where are you guys at? Okay, give it, yeah, all right. That's for the out-of-towners. These are the people to see, to talk about where you want to go tonight or this weekend. I understand you're going to the zoo, fantastic, solid. They can give you some others. So here's what I know about Van Diver. Follow him on immigration, but maybe not on social calendars. Just a free advice. But others of the San Diegans, trust them. But Sean, just stick to the immigration stuff, okay? This is good. I want every resident to know, so the San Diegans who are here, that city services remain available and that the police department does not participate in immigration enforcement, and that my administration will do what we can to keep our communities safe. But I recognize that feels inadequate at the local level, right? And so trying to take this upmarket a bit. And last week I was sworn in as the president of the United States Conference of Mayors. And thank you very much. The first time a San Diegan has led this organization in its 94-year history, and I'm pretty darn proud of that. One of my priorities as president is going to continue to advocate for an immigration system that is fair, functional, and reflective of our nation's values. And I say that as a mayor because I recognize that the issue of immigration is highly polarized and very partisan in our national political environment. But I'm here to tell you that mayors from all across this country come together on a regular basis, bipartisan basis, to call for greater transparency, accountability, and professionalism when it comes to federal immigration enforcement. In fact, as president of this conference, I'm here to say that America's mayors support secure borders and effective immigration enforcement. But we also believe that our collective public safety absolutely depends on public trust. And that trust is not a political issue, it is a public safety issue. And in this leadership position, I'm sharing my commitment to advocate for San Diego and to condemn this federal administration's senseless enforcement tactics and the critical work and the need for the critically rebuilding the trust between our cities and our communities, especially during this time of fear and uncertainty. And so while Washington debates immigration, cities are managing the very real world impacts every single day. And in fact, in response to the brutality that we saw in Minneapolis, the U.S. Conference of Mayors Executive Committee came together to address the concerns of immigration in this country. And we together, under the leadership of our former president, Republican Oklahoma City Mayor David Holt, who asked myself, as a Democrat, I know you're shocked, a Democrat, and as our trustee, Daniel Rickerman, who's the mayor of Columbia, South Carolina, a Republican, to come together and ask our fellow mayors and come up with 2 emergency resolutions. And these resolutions call for DHS to implement common sense oversight of their federal agents. And our teams, Daniel and I working together, again, bipartisan mayors, saying that we feel that this conference, again, nearly 100-year history of bipartisan solution making, that we believe that if DHS has to be able to conduct its immigration enforcement activities in our communities the way that we ask our own police departments to show up in our communities, with transparency, with trust, with standards of behavior and conduct, expanding training, using I'm sorry, a little tongue-tied. I get too involved in this stuff. Not participating in enforcement based on searches of people's, because of their location, their race, their language, or other kinds of measures. These resolutions called on DHS to reform immigration enforcement action procedures and to respect residents exercising their First Amendment rights to protest in a nonviolent way in public. The passage of these resolutions by our 400-plus mayors who are active in the association sends a strong message that America's cities want not only humane immigration enforcement, but that we also call upon comprehensive immigration reform, that we need to have pathways to citizenship, that we need to ask folks to come out of the shadows and have a functional 21st century immigration system. I understand and respect why that's difficult for members of Congress to make those kinds of statements, but if 400 mayors from red and blue states, from Republican and Democratic cities can come together and make this consensus statement, I believe that we can do that in Congress as well. Mayors are trying to embody and reflect and model the behavior we want out of our federal representatives in hopes that at some point we'll stop addressing symptoms, get to the root cause of this issue, which is an outdated system that simply does not work well. And this is where I just have to, in a room full of immigration attorneys, to say that we absolutely have to do more around temporary protective status, TPS, and of course for our dreamers, the Deferred Action and Childhood Arrivals Program. The kinds of processing delays that we're seeing is resulting in the loss of livelihoods, of work authorization, of employment opportunities. This is absolutely unacceptable. DACA recipients, TPS holders, asylum seekers, and those awaiting green cards make up 27,000 workers in my city's labor force, and they pay $173 million in local and state taxes annually. These folks are actively and positively contributing to this greatness of the city, and we need to have policies that support them, uplift them, back them up, and invite them into the full experience of the San Diego community, not leaving them on the sidelines and not leaving them in fear of being deported when they've done absolutely nothing wrong. So let me try and wrap this up because I know you have a couple more days and there may be pandas in your future if you go to the zoo. Well, funnily enough, it was easier to get pandas in the United States, but except there's a joke in there somewhere. It's like literally it's a factual statement what I just said to you, but never. So I don't want to stand between you all and a good time in my city. And again, this is where I remind you, our taxes are low, so spend, spend, spend. But to be sincere, I want to tell you that our cities can't do this work alone. And I want to be here more than anything, besides bragging on my city, telling you about how awesome Lucero is, talking about this great border town where we understand and appreciate everyone. But I want to be here to mainly deliver this message, which is that cities can't do this work alone. And that I respect, appreciate, admire, and understand that immigration attorneys are absolutely critical to ensuring justice and representing the rights of people who are so often right now targeted by their own government in these enforcement actions. What you're doing is heroic work. What you're doing is often overlooked and unheralded. But I know that for every single person that gets that knock on the door, you are often the difference between whether or not they'll ever see their families again or whether or not they'll see their home ever again. And I suspect in the way that I feel that this work right now is very hard, the work that I do, right? You don't have any support coming from Washington, D.C. We're just taking incoming, right, from our federal government. I can imagine how all of you feel. And so I wanted to be here to say thank you for what you're doing. Continue to do this work. I believe that this is temporary. I believe that we will get through this. I believe that these next couple of years will go by, God willing, quickly. But whether or not we come out of it stronger and more united and more focused on real solutions is whether or not folks like you all can stand in the breach the way that you've had for these last year and a half. I see you, I appreciate you, I respect you, and it's so important for you to hear from people in jobs like mine that what you're doing is making a difference in people's lives, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart on behalf of the 1.4 million people that I'm honored to speak on behalf of. What you all are doing matters. Keep it up, keep going, and thank you, thank you, thank you. You're, You all are very kind for you all to stand up. Hopefully you're just adding to another standing ring on your Apple Watches. That standing ovation is for all of you. I mean it truly and deeply. I see what's going on in our communities. I've sat and talked with folks who are experiencing this ridiculous federal immigration enforcement. I see these lives being disrupted, and I can provide comfort, but you all are the ones that are providing them with the security of the law. I thank you. I hope you enjoy your time in San Diego, and I hope that you know that wherever you're from in this great country of ours, that there's a mayor in San Diego that is rooting for you and appreciates you. I'll give it back to Ben now. Thank you all very much.